Greetings and welcome, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, to episode 328 of the Words About Games podcast, the weekly news, culture, and gaming discussion podcast for Words About Games. I'm your host, Amy K. Alexander, joined this week by, I can't think of a good pun for Stormtroopers. Like, I asked you, like, hey, what t-shirt you wearing, so that I could just do an intro. And then you said, I'm in a Stormtrooper t-shirt, and I went, cool. And then I was like, wait, I don't just want to call you a Stormtrooper. So the problem there is Stormtroopers are kind of like, you know, foot soldiers of fascism, right? So it's like, what if I call him something and it's just like, this week I'm joined by the fascist himself. And this is basically what goes through my head for like the 20 seconds while I'm saying the intro to the podcast. Stafford Moody, hi. He's not a fascist. Promise.
I don't know what to say. I don't know.
I never know what to say.
Howdy doodle everybody. It's Monday. You know what that means.
Moody, how's it going?
Been crap, Amy, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah?
It's been crap.
That sucks.
Bread hasn't tasted the same.
Oh.
Pizza hasn't even tasted the same.
Oh, God.
Water doesn't even taste the same.
Wow.
Ever since we heard Henry Cavill was quitting as The Witcher and we was getting replaced by Liam Hemsworth.
Is that Thor's brother?
Yes.
Okay.
It's his younger brother, yes.
Okay.
Yes. The least talented one.
The least talented Hemsworth. Why do I feel like that's a joke? Is that a joke from something? I feel like that's a joke from something.
Probably is. I don't know. Probably is, but no.
Okay.
Yeah. Nothing has tasted the same since Henry Cavill broke my heart.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Yeah.
I mean,
then he found out he would come back as Superman.
I was going to say, like, he's going to be
right.
Superman again, right?
Yep.
I'm sure we've had that conversation on the podcast before where we're like, he was a great Superman.
Yeah. Oh, he was. He was a great Superman. He was in two crappy films, sadly. But then he was in it all. But he was also in his first film was awesome and everything. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Like, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. I think it's funny how the internet has reacted to it, as always. The internet reacting to in a brilliant manner.
Sometimes that's what I'm here for, you know. Like
that is true. Like it just made me laugh when I'm just saying he's left because of the Witcher creators.
Oh yeah, I saw this.
No, he hasn't, guys, at all. You literally have no idea at all. He's left because bigger role comes available again.
Geralt of Rivia, Superman.
TV show. Or hopefully blockbuster summer movie.
Well, they're like rebooting the DC thing, aren't they? Well, I don't know if they're rebooting it, but they've got new people in charge.
Yeah, James Gunn is in charge, along with this producer who's apparently done some of the films of the DC films that have come out before.
I mean, it's always good to have a producer, like someone who knows how to who's like in charge of getting the thing done, and then like paired with someone who is like good at like thinking of the
creative
thing.
Yeah. It's if you're a DC fan and everything like that, you've been like disappointed with the DC movies and everything, you could be your DCEU universe could be finally happening at long last. Your cinematic universe that everyone's been screaming for is finally happening at long last. I can see Amy dying inside when I'm saying that.
Better DC movies, yeah. DC Cinematic Universe.
Well, let's think about it. So for me, they are Man of Steel. I loved.
I mean, I'm not going down this road because we have very different views on the.
No. If you say you didn't like it, I'm not going to say, Amy, you're wrong.
Birds of Prey was the best one.
Amy, you're wrong.
See?
No, I personally didn't like that movie. I admit that. I've already stated that. But no, it worked for you. What's more, I champion that. A movie that works for you? Woohoo! Thank fucking God. Thank God.
And I'm wearing my Apex. I'm wearing my Apex top So that works,
I know,
champion. You
I
are the
know.
champion.
But no, we'll see what happens. Henry Cavill, he's still Britain's ass, for God's sakes. And I'm looking forward to watching Enola Holmes 2 in a couple of days. I haven't watched it over the weekend. I've been watching other stuff. Yeah. Oh, the first one's really good. It's like surprisingly really good. And he was awesome in it, even though he wasn't in it as that much, because obviously it's all about Enola Holmes, not Sherlock Holmes. But he's in this one, and he's just, I'm here, and he's really good.
All right.
Which is not surprising. He's Henry fucking Cavill. He's Britain's ass, for God's sakes.
Does he play Sherlock Holmes in that?
Yeah, he plays Sherlock Holmes in that. Got a proper Britishman playing a British character, and like an American, what they did last time.
Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, I'm thinking Robert Downey Jr., not Benedict Cumberbatch.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah, his was TV. I was meaning films, but either way, yeah. See what happens. But yeah, how are you, Amy? I hope you're all well with your brand new hair.
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I've been planning this for ages, and then eventually, I just did it. So
I won't lie. I thought you were gonna stay red.
Nah. I had a few ideas, different ideas about different colors. But then I was like, you know what? It's like winter. Like we're getting into the winter times and stuff. And I was like, what's a wintry sort of color? And then I was like, blue was cool. So I went to my friend's house, and she cut my hair and dyed my hair. It took fucking ages. It was 3 hours to get it done. And the entire time she had this dog, this tiny little dog called Holly, that was just wanted to be involved in the entire situation. Literally, I'm on my because rinsing the bleach out over the bathtub. So I've got my head over the bathtub, and getting it showered over the thing, and Holly's trying to squeeze in to in between us.
Let me help.
To jump in, and it was thinking about jumping into the bath, and it's just yeah. It's just no, the bleach is not for you. No, stay away from the bleach.
That is true.
But I remember when I did my orange hair in January, and I saw Phil for the first time, and he was like, tango head.
So what did he say this time?
So when he saw it this time, and I said, "Can't call me Tango Head anymore," and he went, "Tango Ice Blast Head, though." I was like, "Thanks, Phil."
Respect, Phil. Respect.
He got me.
He got you.
So now I'm gonna have to think.
Tango.
I need to think of my next color, many months from now. Where it's what color isn't tango related? That's my so this time it was, what's a good winter color? This time it is literally just what color is tango? Okay, none of those colors.
White. Silver.
I was
Black.
gonna say green, but no. Black. Apple tango. Black tango. Sounds like poison tango. I don't know.
That was an apple that took out Snow White.
It was. It was an apple that fucked over Adam and Eve.
Yes, it did. Apples do a lot of bad things, but they're incredibly healthy for you still.
I think the moral of the story is apples, don't eat apples.
Apples bought a bunch, so I'm eating apples.
You fucked. You're already fucked.
So you're going to have to get a replacement next week, Amy.
I ate the apples, Amy. I'm just going to eat a text tomorrow.
Don't eat the apples.
Don't eat the apples.
And you just reply, what did I fucking tell you?
Well, I told you. We just talked about this. You can't trust the apples.
Can't trust the apples. That is true. That is true indeed.
It's like Phil always said when we played Among Us. How do you like them apple knives?
Well, he was always somewhere in the middle, so it's all right.
Somewhere in something.
Yeah, he was definitely somewhere in something.
Underrated comedic talent. Oh, Phil.
That is true. That is true.
That is true. I see your background's evolved.
It has evolved, yes. I have a couch.
That's nice. I like that.
I have my TV in.
Facing the couch.
Facing the couch. It isn't properly set up yet. I'm trying to find the plug.
Oh, okay.
It's in one of the boxes.
It's like classic house moving 101. It's just I found the TV. I found the remote.
Like that, yeah.
I can't
No, I
find the
haven't
plug
found
though.
that.
Oh, you haven't found
No,
that.
we haven't found the remote
Okay.
yet. Yeah, it'll happen eventually. Probably. Maybe.
Maybe.
Not sure.
Yeah, I might just buy another one.
I couldn't be bothered to tidy up the table thinking, by the way.
It's fine. Like, I like the stage by stage, like, of evolution of the...
Yeah, because that table will eventually go and I'll get another shelving unit in there.
Oh,
So
nice.
it's
So you get, like, the symmetrical shelving unit thing.
Yeah. So eventually the box that's underneath, which is all my Funko Pops, will start appearing with Funko Pops.
Like, slowly or all at once? Like, every cut...
Probably next year.
Every week, it's just one new Funko Pop just appears on the shelf. like an advent calendar, but with Funko Pops.
Oh my goodness, man. And eventually I'll start putting my displays back up. Like one of them dropped.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
There is... All right, that's actually a Funko Pop advent calendar. That's actually a thing.
Oh, of course it fucking is. Of course it is.
It's like 60 quid.
Of course it is.
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of Funkos, so.
That's true.
The 25... Do you open an advent calendar on Christmas Day?
I think so.
So there's like 25.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, the final. You did from the 1st to the 25th.
Yeah, so you got like 25 little Funkos.
Yeah.
That's interesting. It's not, when you put it like that, that's not that expensive because it's like 2 quid a Funko,
Yeah.
3 quid a Funko Pop or whatever.
Yeah. It was really weird. Like, I think it's more because I haven't got my place set up yet, and it won't be for at least a couple of more months and everything. But like me and the missus were out yesterday, and like we're walking around like HMV and everything, and I was looking at the Funkos, and I was like, I don't want any of these.
I mean, were you holding a giant Bulbasaur Funko when you said that?
No, I've only got 2 of those already. I don't need another one.
Because that's what happened last time. I'm not feeling any of these Funko Pops.
Well, the big ass.
Fucking massive Funko Pop.
That's true. Yeah, that is true.
No, it takes time. It's like, you remember the whole evolution of of this room took fucking months, didn't it? Mm-hmm. Just takes time. But like once you get it there, it's so satisfying.
Yeah.
It's like once it's finished and done, and you're like, oh my god, I actually enjoy spending time in here.
Yeah, that's the thing about it. It's called I'm not enjoying spending time in here yet.
Yeah.
Like I come in here and do the podcast, and I come in here if I need to do some work or something.
Sure.
But other than that, I don't spend time in here yet, and that's the one thing. Like next week I will be. Next week I will be. I will be spending time in here. I would have found the power cable, or gone out and bought another one.
Or both.
Or both. Why
Start
the hell
slow.
not?
You'll find a power.
Yes.
You'll go out. You'll go, fuck it. I'm gonna buy a power cable. You'll
So
go
it's
out.
fucking low,
You'll
yeah.
buy a power cable. You'll get it. You'll plug it in. You'll be like, mint, my TV works. Oh, you know what? I should go and get. I need to go and get a saucepan out of a box. It's still in a box. Shit. And you open the box with the saucepans in. And then, oh shit! There's the power cable. That's how it works.
That's what we're hoping
Inside
for.
the saucepan.
Exactly.
Because that's where you keep power cable. having a drawer full of cables is so like early 2000s. Now everyone keeps them in pads. That's a new thing I'm starting
They do. I've noticed that myself.
for the 2020s. I don't know.
Oh, is that giant Eevee in the background? Or a big Eevee? I never noticed that before.
Where?
In your drawers in front of the giant question mark.
Oh, there's an Eevee. Yeah, there's an Eevee there. On my Nintendo shelf. There.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's an Eevee.
I've never noticed that before. Is that new?
No, it's been there a while. I haven't gotten any new stuff for the background for a while. Like the last thing I got was a cup. My Luna cup. Twitch.tv/Luna Mothings. I trolled Keith with that cup on Twitter.
We do like to troll Keith. So.
We do like to troll Keith and everyone else.
No, that's true.
The more people we can troll of our friends on this podcast, the better. I tend to find. Maybe it's just because I remember to actually turn my lights on for once.
It might be that, and I'm for some reason because I think I'm trying to keep myself awake. Yeah, I'm very tired.
You're just staring at my lights in the background.
Yeah.
Well, let's.
It's like driving a car in the dark. You're not looking at the road. You start looking at drivers' cars going by, and the lights. Oh my eyes! Something like that. Why the fuck are they that bright?
Like opening Google Docs.
Oh god, yeah.
Let's start the show. That was weird. Let's start the show.
Let's do it.
Every Monday you can get a video version of this show on youtube.com/wordsaboutgamesuk or an audio version on a variety of platforms, including Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and more. There are timestamps in the description where you choose to get your podcast. And if you'd like to support the show or our content directly, buy us a coffee at coffee.com/wordsaboutgames. Lastly, if you want to hang out with us while we play some games, head over to twitch.tv/wordsaboutgames. Pokemon Apocalypse is nearly upon us. Where it's going to be all Pokemon all the time.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
But before then,
God of War Apocalypse.
It's about a father and a boy.
God of War Apocalypse, which actually, God of War Apocalypse, I mean, considering it's called Ragnarok, I mean, it's the same.
It is
It's
apocalypse.
the same thing, right?
It is an apocalypse. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, man. I'm excited. Like,
But Boomerang better not fuck me.
Yeah,
over.
that's the thing,
Seriously, Boomerang, don't you dare fuck us over.
I've got 2 spaces in my queue, right? Bayonetta currently is in the list. And then the only thing that's getting out, I didn't make the mistake I've made with so many games this year. I went into the coming soon list and I deleted everything. That wasn't God of War because I just add games, right? And then I think, you know, I'll curate it later, and then that's how I end up getting Steel Rising instead of Splatoon 3. So I was like looking, and I went in and I was like, ooh, Sonic, delete. Like if I ended up getting sent Sonic and then not getting sent God of War, I might have just smashed my fucking PlayStation with a hammer out of sheer frustration.
But I wouldn't have blamed you, Jamie. I wouldn't have blamed you.
But no, the way is clear. There's nothing theoretically stopping me from having God of War on Wednesday. So that's good.
Hopefully.
Been feeling a bit listless with games recently, where it's like I played a couple last weekend, like new games last weekend after doing We Are OFK for the podcast. And then I was finished those on the weekend, and then I was just like looking through the list of like my backlog of like new games and stuff like that I've come out this year, and I was just like, I'm not really feeling anything. But then I finished my Dishonored 2 video.
Yeah.
I sat down and just thought, if I work on this video for a day, like solid, like a full day, end to end, can be finished. And then I was like, I kind of want to do that. Kind of just get it out of the way and I get it done. So I did that. And now I've started Mass Effect. As Moody knows, because I've been texting him about Mass Effect.
Yeah, all right, we'll call it texting.
I always call it texting. I know it's like Messenger or whatever, but
No, it's more complaining than anything.
it wasn't complaining. It was all right. I complained once. I did something I've never done before. You're going to be very proud of me, though, because I've blitzed Mass Effect this week.
You've already smashed it, have you?
So I've got like 3. I've got like the one more main mission to do, and then it's like the last bit of the game. And I've done all the side quests I can stand to do. I've got a whole other playthrough to do the other ones. It's fine. But I went to Vermeer. I did the whole thing on Vermeer, and then Ashley lived. I've never done that before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, well, in one of the 2 playthroughs, I'm gonna do it, right? And this is my Paragon playthrough. And I was like, if I'm gonna let her live,
So wait, how many playthroughs are you going to do it?
just the 2 of each game, though.
Oh, so what? You're going full Paragon for one and then full Renegade for the other?
Yeah, basically. Well,
all right, okay.
I'm picking like middle options sometimes, but like on the Paragon playthrough, I'm never hitting like Renegade stuff. And then on the Renegade playthrough, like, I'm never hitting like Paragon and stuff. With the Renegade playthrough, a lot of the options of Renegade is basically just no, fuck off. So like, if I did a full Renegade playthrough, I wouldn't be doing any quests because I'd be like, no, fuck off, no. But I saved Ashley from a Paragon playthrough because I was like, if I'm gonna have Ashley around, I want to see this storyline that everybody talks about. And I was like, it's probably gonna be better if I'm like not also
give it a try for once.
Also, if I'm also not playing a Renegade raid, like I mean, Renegade Shepherd's not a great person,
but she's badass at the same time.
Oh, she's got some great dialogue, like definitely,
also
is a terrible person. But I'm looking forward to seeing Ashley's like story. Like I hear she gets like long hair. I'm not being disingenuous. I've literally never seen Ashley beyond like blowing her up in Mass Effect 1.
Well, this is not a spoiler for you,
No,
like
fine.
that, because you've already seen the different version with Kate and everything like that. She looks the same in Mass Effect 2, but you only see her once.
Yeah.
And then she doesn't come back until Mass Effect 3, which she has a massive makeover.
The thing is, I remember Mass Effect 3. I gotta remember, I'm doing a Paragon playthrough. Don't shoot her. Don't shoot her.
Even though it's tempting, it might
As
be.
tempting
for
as
you.
it's going to be, don't shoot her. But I did tell her to shut the fuck up at one point in Mass Effect 1, which was definitely good. Like, when she starts complaining about aliens and stuff, and you can do all the conversation stuff where you like tell her like, no, this isn't cool. Or you can just pick
I'm right there with you. I'm racist as well.
Yes, I too am a racist. or you can do the thing where you immediately just tell her to shut the fuck up, and she shuts the fuck up. I was like, that was satisfying. Yeah. That was satisfying.
There's also at the same time that her military training comes involved in that.
Oh yeah,
there's no doubt.
Like I've already learned more about Ashley than I've ever known her before. And I've only had one extra conversation with her.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair. No, I am going to be fascinated. I don't think you'll enjoy it personally, but
we'll see what happens.
But we will see what happens. I do think they do redeem it by the end for me personally.
We'll see.
But we'll see.
I'm looking forward to playing through the trilogy once, probably taking a break to do something else, because I don't want to then start Mass Effect again, because there's a chance I'll burn out on it if I have to do another like 80 hours or whatever. So I might make another video and then do Mass Effect. I've already got a good idea. Like, there's a cool date I can hit for putting out a Mass Effect video, which isn't N70. Like,
I was going to say, that ain't happening.
No, tomorrow.
That's today.
There's a cool date where I was looking at like game releases and stuff, and I was like, oh, I could probably make the video by then. Like Dishonored 2 the video is coming out on Friday, which is the 11th of November, which is 6 years to the day since Dishonored 2 came out. So my illness, which delayed the video, actually worked out quite well, because I could put the video out on the anniversary of the game's release. Maybe I should just do that from now on.
Just become ill.
Yeah, just get ill all the time. I'll wait ever to do that. Fuck, my life sucks. I just get sick all the time now. Fucking COVID.
Was it COVID?
Well, so like I used to get sick like once a year or once every 2 years. Yeah. And then I got COVID in April, and I've been sick like 3 or 4 times since then.
Yeah, it sounds like your body hasn't recovered.
Yeah, it's like, great, thanks. And then people are like, and then people will be like, you still wear a mask? And I'm like, yes, I still wear a fucking mask. Like, we'll just like, it's amazing how often you get asked that question. Like, I'll just be in the queue at like Tesco's or something. Because like I go to the same places a lot, so like I know all the people who work at Tesco's and stuff, and they'll just be like, waiting in the line at Tesco's, and then the person behind the cash desk will just be like, "Do they still make you wear those masks at work?" And I'm like, "No, this is just a personal choice." One, I don't want to get sick. 2, I appear to be a walking biohazard these days, and I don't want to get everybody else sick.
Your sacrifice is very nice for us.
It is. I will take all of the diseases and plagues so that you don't have to. Should we get into the main story of the week? Moody's thinking about
You
it.
are the one who wants to talk about this.
Moody's
You
thinking
go
about
for
it.
You're
He's
the
like,
one who's
should I
got
do
things
this?
you want to read into this, so go for it. I'm muting and I'm chilling.
Moody's just like, why did I agree to this?
No,
I could have just told her I was busy.
no.
Oh, sorry, Amy. I can't come do the podcast this week. I'm moving. Didn't you already move? Yeah, I'm moving again.
Yeah.
And then you come back next week, and I'm like, it looks like the same room. It's like, it's wild, isn't it? I made it look exactly the same.
I was moving the room about.
Oh, yeah. I was moving the building. Oh, let's get into it. Final Fantasy 16 producer defends lack of diversity. So this is a quote, it's a long quote, from an interview over IGN, which was done by Kat Bailey. IGN asked the question, in regards to diversity in the game, can we expect to see black characters in Final Fantasy 16 or people of color, non-white characters in general? To clarify a bit more, there's been discussion around the trailers to date featuring mostly white characters, and I wanted to get clarity on whether we can expect the final game to be more diverse. And I'm just going to zoom in on that real quick because it's easier to read. That's better. And then Naoki Yoshida, the producer of Final Fantasy 16, gave this reply. This is a difficult question, but not one that was unexpected, seeing as diversity in entertainment media has become a much discussed topic as of late. The answer I have, however, may end up being disappointing to some depending on individual expectations. Our design concept from the earliest stages of development has always heavily featured medieval Europe, incorporating historical, cultural, political, and anthropological standards that were prevalent at the time. When deciding on a setting that was best suited to the story we wanted to tell, the story of a land beset by the Blight, we felt that rather than create something on a global scale, it was necessary to limit the scope to a single landmass, one geographically and culturally isolated from the rest of the world in an age without airplanes, televisions, or telephones. Due to the underlying geographical, technological, and geopolitical constraints of this setting, Valisthea was never going to realistically be as diverse as, say, a modern-day Earth, or even Final Fantasy XIV, that has an entire planet and moon worth of nations, races, and cultures at its disposal. The isolated nature of this realm, however, does end up playing a large part in the story, and is one of the reasons Valisthea's fate is tied to the rest of the world. Ultimately, we felt that while incorporating ethnic diversity into Valisthea was important, an over-incorporation into this single corner of a much larger world could end up causing a violation of those narrative boundaries we originally set for ourselves. The story we are telling is fantasy, yes, but it's also rooted in reality. Conversely, the Final Fantasy series of games have always inherently dealt with conflict and struggle, especially between the empowered and those used and or exploited by those privileged few, a prominent trend in human history. In a game that, by design, allows players to experience that conflict and struggle firsthand through dynamic, realistic battles, it can be challenging to assign distinctive ethnicities to either antagonist or protagonist without triggering audience preconceptions, inviting unwarranted speculation, and ultimately stoking flames of controversy. The best part of pulling inspiration directly from history, however, is that it allows us to revisit and re-examine our own pasts while also allowing us to create something new. In the end, we simply want the focus to be less on the outward appearance of our characters and more on who they are as people. People who are complex and diverse in their natures, backgrounds, beliefs, personalities, and motivations. People whose stories we can resonate with. There is diversity in Valisthea, diversity that, while not all-encompassing, is synergistic with the setting we've created and is true to the inspirations from which we are drawing. That was a big reply. I'm thinking this interview was done over email. Personally. So this happened. Someone asked the question, hey, are there going to be any black people in Final Fantasy 16? And Yoshi P was like, basically that's the equivalent of what he said. I highlighted several sentences in this because I was like, I want to talk about these things specifically. But on my Chromebook, it turns out, I can't actually see the highlights very well.
I can help you here. All right, so the first one is, this is a difficult question.
This is a difficult question. Not really. right? I mean, I feel like that's a fair comment of that. It's like, hey, are they gonna be is Final Fantasy 16 gonna have any like non-white characters? This is a difficult question. I mean, it's yes or no. Yes, no. I don't understand what's difficult about it. I remember what I highlighted next, which was the part where they started going on about historical accuracy. Like, hey, we based our like this is the thing that you see a lot of internet people talk about when they're complaining about a game that is diverse. Remember, like when we had Battlefield 5 and the protagonist was a woman, and everybody started going on about historical accuracy, or like with Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Where everybody was like, you can't have a gay character in ancient Greece. What about historical accuracy? And it's always incorrect. Like, there are like multiple depictions of like non-white people in Europe in medieval times. Like, if you can search the quote tweets for this article on Twitter, and there's tons of people just pointing out, hey, there's like paintings and drawings and writings of non-white people who lived in medieval Europe. Like medieval Europe wasn't like 100, like everybody was white everywhere you went in society everywhere. Like I can't remember the name of the knight, but one of the knights of the Round Table was literally black. I don't want to try and guess at the name, but it was the Black Knight. Like the Black Knight wasn't called the Black Knight because he wore black armor or whatever. He was literally the Black Knight. So like we can take that historical accuracy piece and we can just say, no, that's not correct. I wish people would stop saying this because it's not right. Like, okay, the world doesn't have airplanes in it. I don't know what that had to do with anything.
The next one, if you can't see it, is due to the underlying geographical, technological, and geopolitical constraints of this setting.
Due to the underlying geographical, technological, and geopolitical constraints of this setting that we created ourselves. Like, they're talking like someone forced them to do this. Or like Yoshi P is talking like someone forced him to make the world like this. Whereas like, no, you made this world yourself. Right? Like, you created the constraints of this world, and you created the constraints of this world to, I'm guessing, judging by the answer that you gave to the question, to not prominently feature any people of color. Like, you can't blame the world if you are the person who created the world.
Yeah, completely agree. Yeah, you're spot on there.
I'm taking a drink.
Not otherwise. Next one while you're sipping is the story we are telling is a fantasy. Yes, but it's also rooted in reality.
I mean, it's not. Again, it's not. I mean, all right. As much as all stories are rooted in reality, right? Like all meaningful stories are rooted in some form of reality because that's how we get stories to resonate. But also, yes, it is a fantasy story. The historical accuracy argument like doesn't work in this context. Again, as I've just talked about. And also you've made it like you've made a game with dragons and little talking cat people and like chicken things that you ride around. Like I'm sure if people can suspend their disbelief for those things, they can suspend their disbelief if a black person turns up and starts talking. Like the whole cultural thing, the whole cultural angle of the argument. Like they're creating this. They've created this world based on a version of medieval Europe that doesn't exist. But even if we like take that at face value and say that it did exist, like they found a small part of continental medieval Europe, drawn a circle around it, and gone, "This is what we're basing it on." Like your world has this ridiculous fantasy stuff in it, so you can put whatever you want in the game. But also the things in your world that are like rooted, that are based on like. On reality, like some of that stuff isn't from medieval Europe. Like let's talk, like we could talk about like some of the summons or what, I don't know, they call them something different in Final Fantasy 16, but they're in the trailers, like Shiva. Famously not from Europe. I actually pulled this up so I wouldn't get it wrong. Shiva from Hinduism. Like Shiva is one of the deities in Hinduism, or Ifrit. He was a demon in Islamic mythology. So like you've already gone outside of European history and European culture to bring these things in. I know they're like staples of like the Final Fantasy series. Like they've both been summons since at least the first Final Fantasy game that I played. But also like if you're gonna use them to bring those into your world, like into this mythological version of Europe that doesn't exist, you could also maybe bring some people of color into the world, and it wouldn't really be a big deal.
Do you want me to speak? I'm letting you go.
It's mind-boggling to me that they can say this. That we're creating this like based on this thing. So in our like the constraints that we've placed around the world that we've made, there aren't very many black people in it. All right, cool. And that's because that's how it was in Europe. So those are the constraints we've put on it. But also we've got all this stuff from other cultures that have nothing to do with Europe. Yeah. And we've put them in there.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think what they basically at the end of the day is that they just basically. He says he was kind of expecting this question. I was thinking, you clearly weren't expecting this question because you've come up with a stupid reply.
No, I'd say that we're expecting the question, but like, it's the last part that I highlighted. Where he says,
it can be challenging to assign distinctive ethnic.
Right.
You can say this.
I just wanted to pause on that first part of the sentence. It can be challenging to assign distinctive ethnicities to either protagonist or antagonist. As if, like, white isn't a distinctive ethnicity. Like, it's one of the... Like, that's it. That's the point. It's like, hang on a minute, mate. Like, it is. So you have assigned a distinctive ethnicity to these characters. It's just the one that you've decided is default. So you've basically just othered every other culture in the world, essentially, with that sentence. But the other part that I wanted to get to here is the part where it talks about, hey, we don't want to do this without triggering audience preconceptions, inviting unwarranted speculation, or the last part, which is the part I wanted to focus on, and ultimately stoking the flames of controversy. That's a really disappointing thing to hear from Yoshi P and I guess who's representing, Square Enix in the Final Fantasy team, where it's like, hey, we didn't want to piss off the racists. Is basically how that sentence reads. It's like, oh, ultimately stoking flames of controversy. Because, yeah, sure, like there's always controversy when there's a person of color in a video game, or a woman in a video game, or an LGBTQ plus person in a video game. But you put them in the video games anyway, because the people who are starting the controversy don't matter, right? Like when the whole Last of Us Part 2 kerfuffle kicked off a couple of years ago because Abby existed and maybe she was transgender, even though she wasn't. Like, who cares? Like the people who are crying and yelling about it can cry and yell about it to each other, and the rest of us can enjoy a cool game. So the fact that like one of the things that has entered their minds when they've either crafted the response to this question or when they've made the game in general is to go, hey, we don't want to piss off racists. Like, great. Why? That's my rebuttal. That would be my follow-up question to that. Is like, why care?
Yeah, no person out there, sadly, should care about the bigotry or anything like that. Just do the game you want to create and everything like that, and put it into and have a diverse cultural mixed races in there. It ain't hard to do or anything like that. And you should do this. At the end of the day, what's his name again?
Naoki Yoshida.
Naoki Yoshida. This is a poor reply at the end of the day. Like, I think I saw someone tweet out, but I don't know, so I'm literally paraphrasing what they said. Is that they said they would have rather have just said, thinking we didn't think of it. We didn't think of diverse or anything like that. We just wanted to create the game we wanted to create. And at the end of the day, if they just came out and said that, I don't think you and me boys would be talking about this.
I'd have been like,
it's annoying that you haven't done this, But at the end of the day, this has turned into a big controversy because of this reply and everything like that. I don't think it would have got a bigger controversy of if it was just him. We didn't think of that. We just wanted to create the game we wanted to create.
Yeah, like it's like, oh, we didn't think of it. It's like that would have been disappointing for sure.
No doubt. I agree with you there.
But also, and like maybe this is not my place to say. Like, would it have been as disappointing? I don't know. That's probably not my place to say. The person who you're talking about is Timur Hussein from GameSpot.
Oh, okay. I
because
did not know
that was how I learned of this. I saw his retweet.
Okay.
That's why I remember. But
thank you.
But yeah, the parts that I've pulled out, obviously, like I read the full statement before, and I only talked about specific parts that stuck out to me personally. Like, and obviously, I've seen all the retweets, I've seen all the Twitter threads, I've talked to some people as well about it, and like the parts that stick out to me are the parts that just make me just piss me off. Like, if I just want to speak plainly about it, it just pisses me off. Like, it's full of bigoted, like the reply is full of bigoted, racist dog whistles, like the historical accuracy stuff, which has been used by countless bigots in the past to complain about other video games, as we talked about, and then saying that one of the things that they were trying to avoid was stoking the flames of controversy. Oops, guess you kind of fucked that up, because we all know who would have kicked off. And yeah, it's extreme. Like, I had Vitz on the podcast 2 weeks ago. We talked about the Final Fantasy 16 story trailer and how cool it looked, and now it's like this is now the next thing of what hey, what's next for Final Fantasy 16? Oh, this. Great. Sweet.
Sadly, there's just a controversy on a lot of big AAA games that happen these days. Bayonetta 3 is going for it right now, not because of the game or anything like that, because of the voice actress.
I am happy that we're not talking about Bayonetta this week.
Well, she's kept quiet.
She is. So. What's she gonna do next? Who knows? And I don't want to find out.
Yeah, she's already burnt her career, so it's all right now. Final Fantasy 16, however, we were talking about Activision later on and everything, and they just keep stoking the flames and whatnot. And that's just Activision as a developer and publishing, for God's sakes. But there's always controversy. There's controversy. Like, Call of Duty has controversy, but when does Call of Duty not have controversy? It's like, it's just sadly just how it is. Seems like how it is these days, and it shouldn't be like that. At the end of the day, fuck the bigotry. Like, fuck bigotry. Like, seriously, if a developer should not be afraid to make a diverse cultural game whatsoever, you should just go for it. And be proud that you've gone for it. And literally, if you get any fucking crap, I'll tell you this, they'll be loud. There's no doubt about it. They are sadly always loud. But compared to what you'll get from people praising you for, I think would be night and day. You'd get a loud. Sadly, they can be loud, the bigots. There's no doubt about it. But to me, they're a very small minority compared to the people who are wanting diverse, culturally relevant games out there and everything, and we are getting them more, but sadly it is more on the indie side than it is on the AAA side, because sadly they're too afraid to do this. And this one that Square Enix has proven, Square Enix, like, they're already doing stupid things already, for God's sakes, with the NFTs.
Yeah, I saw that as well. I didn't put it in the doc, but I saw that.
Yeah, but no, Square Enix, Square Enix have had a shit year. They have not really been in the good books all year this year. They came out and revealed that Final Fantasy 7 Part 2 is next year, along with Final Fantasy 16, and you're getting Crisis Core at the end of the month, end of the year, and everything. But that's them that's just them saying, we've still got the Final Fantasy games that everyone used to play and used to love and everything like that, guys. And we've got the new one coming out, so come on, play it. Yeah. And
look at all the Final Fantasy. Don't ask any questions. I mean, to like what you were just saying there, and also to Mua's point as well. It's like if they had just been like, no, this is just the game that we wanted to make. Like, they would have just made a AAA game. Like, like most AAA games are pretty non-diverse. Like, a diverse AAA game, and this is not a knock on anybody who is responsible for making AAA games, because you don't make a lot of the decisions. A lot of the decisions are made in focus testing and what executives think people want out of video games. And like Final Fantasy 16 was predominantly full of white characters, and they just said, "Oh yeah, that's just the game that we've made." Like, sorry, like it would have been like disappointing, but not particularly different from a lot of large game releases.
Yeah, like I said, yeah, and it's just how it is. Suddenly, like I said, he decided he wanted to make a full-on talk about it.
Unfortunately, he said a lot of words.
Yeah, he said a lot of stupid words,
and some of them, some of them, when put together in certain sequence, were probably not a good idea.
Yeah. Tell about now. He's probably like, I'm not talking to IGN again.
It's like, whoops. I like. Well, that's one of the things I wanted to praise about Kat and about Kat Bailey and about IGN. It's like that this question was even asked, because I feel like this, even just a couple of years ago, this might not necessarily have been a question that anybody in an interview thought to ask. It's like, hey, what about this? So that's cool.
Yes, I completely agree with where you're coming from there. But is it a Kat Bailey thing or is it an IGN thing? I would probably say it's probably more a Kat Bailey thing, yes, than an IGN thing.
Well, actually, I don't want to say that because I don't really read IGN that much, so I don't know.
Yeah, neither do I. That's the same. IGN, I'm not the biggest fan of her anyway, and whatnot. So, like, if Kat Bailey, congratulations, you pull out a question that rocked the hell out of him and made him say stupid things.
Whoops.
So I take your cap off to you, madam. And you crack on being awesome.
Hell yeah. I'm cool. I'm done talking about. This is what you get for calling your protagonist of your AAA video game Clive. For some reason, we found it really funny like a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about Final Fantasy 16 that he's called Clive. I don't know why it was funny. We just found it really funny. It's Clive.
All right.
For all the names you could have called your protagonist in your cool fantasy game, it's Clive. Sounds like the guy who's just down the pub, Oh, Clive.
I'm not gonna lie, I would have had to be there for this joke. To
yeah,
probably.
Yeah, it's one of those you had to be there moments.
Yeah, I'm just like
Clive.
It's must. I had to be there one of those moments.
I find that happens a lot in my life.
Yeah, that's true. No doubt about that. Amy, you've played 2 games.
Oh, I did. Apart from Mass Effect. I played 2 games. The first one was Signalis, which obviously, like, if you've listened to the podcast, I've been excited for Signalis for a while. Like, I've been super hyped for it. Signalis is it's a retro themed survival horror game from an indie development studio called Rose Engine. Published by Homo Games. It's available on PC, PS4, Switch, Xbox, and also it's in Game Pass. Thank you, Phil. So I played this basically last Saturday. Like, after playing We Are OFK fully in one day on Friday, and then sat down on Saturday and played Signalis from start to finish in one day. So I finished like 2 games in 2 days. Respect. Yeah, right. It's like I was on. Maybe this is why I was like, ooh, maybe I need to take it easy on games because I'm just like steamrolling through them. But no, Signalis is a really cool game. So it's like it's a survival horror. It's very much in the vein of like PS1 stuff. Like in terms of like the gameplay, it's more modernized. So it's not fixed camera angles so much as it's like almost like a top down kind of thing, like an isometric viewpoint. So you're not doing tank controls or anything like that. But in terms of like a lot of its gameplay, it's definitely inspired by like the older sort of, it's a throwback sort of like Resident Evil, Silent Hill style games. Inventory management is a big deal in this game. We'll talk about that later. But it's a really cool, really spooky game if you like that kind of gameplay of like the classic sort of survival horror. I think you get on quite well with this. Like it's a lot of
picking
your moments to fight, picking your moments to run. Ammo is scarce, but it's not too scarce, so there's a reason. I'll just get right to it. The inventory management in this game is the only thing I'm going to complain about because it's horror. It's a nightmare, and the rest of the game is a nightmare in a good way because it's a horror game. But this is a nightmare in a bad way because it's like you get 6 inventory slots, really.
Nice.
And it's so hard to so you need to carry a gun, some ammo for that gun. That's 2 inventory slots. Then you also need to carry a tool because a lot of the times you'll have like a special tool, which will like say a flashlight, for example, so you can explore dark rooms. That's a 3rd inventory slot. And then you also need some healing, right? So if you get hurt or whatever, you can heal yourself and not die. So that's a 4th inventory slot taken up. And then you can see where I'm going with this, right? I spent so much time running backwards and forwards to the safe room, going to do a puzzle, solving a puzzle, or like exploring a new area that I just unlocked, and then coming back because I was like, right, shit, well, I guess I need this thing now, like to solve this puzzle up here. So then I go back and get it, and then I go and do the thing, and then I'd open the safe, and there's 2 items in there, and I've only got 1 inventory slot, so I was like, fucking great. So I gotta like pick the one thing up, but then I gotta run back to the safe room and drop the thing off, and then I gotta come back again, and I'm gonna pick the other thing up, and it's like it can be a chore. The inventory management in the game, like I would have loved this game unconditionally if I'd had 8 inventory slots instead of 6. Like that would have been the difference. Just give me a little bit extra wiggle room for exploration and picking stuff up. Or just carrying a second weapon because it's just impractical to carry more than 1 weapon at a time. So you end up trying to figure out how hard something is going to be. So like, oh, right, I've unlocked this new area, so I'm going to go and explore down here. Should I take the pistol or the shotgun or the revolver? Like, what kind of threat level do I think I'm going to be facing? And then I'd take the pistol and I'd be like, I think it's going to be fine. And then there'd be like shitloads of monsters and I'd be like, this wasn't fine. I should have brought a shotgun. But no, it's a really cool game. I played it all in a day from start to finish, and I fucking loved it. The gameplay is just really satisfying. As somebody who loves survival horror games. Sorry, I'm just scrolling down on something. The puzzles are good. Like, they're not too challenging. Excuse me. They're not too challenging to figure out. There was one puzzle that really stumped me, and I was glad that walkthroughs already existed, because otherwise I would have spent like ages stuck on one puzzle. But for the most part, like the rest of the puzzles are cool. Like you have a radio which you can tune to certain frequencies, and that becomes like a part of the puzzle solving. Like, it's part of the story and stuff, but like it becomes a part of the puzzle solving in really, really satisfying ways. Like, I have, like, in the grand tradition of classic survival horrors, I used to have to write stuff down, like codes and shit. I have the 21st century equivalent of that, a camera roll full of pictures where it'll be like, oh, there's a thing on the screen I should really remember, and I'll just take a photo of it. So I guess that's what we do now in the 2020s. Like, when we have a game like this, we just take pictures. And yeah, so the puzzles are really cool. The fighting is fine, is good. It's solid. Like, I wouldn't say it's amazing or anything, but it's solid. The story is incredibly open to interpretation. So there's 4 endings that we know of so far. Like, nobody knows how many endings there might actually be in this game, because none of the achievements are tied to endings. So like, there was this huge, because when I finished the game, because it's one of those games where it's like, oh, like, you can bring your own sort of interpretation to the story and what was going on and how much of it was even real, how much of this actually happened, and then you get your ending, and then I went online And I was like, I want to see what other people are saying about this game, like talking about the ending specifically, like find a big discussion about the ending. And then, like a couple of days after that, when I was like reading discussions and stuff, somebody found another ending.
Sounds about right.
And it's like, holy shit! It's one of those games where it's like, ooh, there's like so much shrouded in mystery. And it really, like, you really think about, like, for me personally, like, I really thought about the game a lot after I'd finished playing it, which was cool. And, like, I'd be interested to sort of, like, maybe not revisit the game, because who has the time when we're such busy people these days, but, like, maybe like, revisit, like, the discussions and stuff and see, like, what else has people discovered. Like,
Yeah.
because there are things in the game where it's like, oh, I don't know what that was for. I don't know what that meant. And like the game is so deliberate in everything else that like I don't think there's anything in there where it's like a dead end or a red, you know what I mean? So like if there's something that I don't know what the meaning of is, there's a meaning to it. I just haven't figured it out yet. Like there's at the moment there's like these 6 doors in one area that you find 6 codes for 6 doors, like 6 different doors. And so far we, and I'm saying we as like the Signalis community, have only found 5 of these doors. Everybody's like, where's this other door? Like, I've got this code for this door and I don't know where the door is. I can't find this door anywhere. So stuff like that is really intriguing because it's like, okay, like, I mean, this code has to do something. Like, it's in the game for a reason. So I'm going to be interested to like maybe like revisit the game like in a couple of months and just be like, oh, I wonder if like anything else has like popped up. Like, has anyone found the infinity door? Like, but I know it's really cool. Like, you should check it out. If you got Game Pass, download it. It's like, took me about 6 hours, 6 to 7 hours to finish. Might take you longer if you get stuck on puzzles and stuff, and you don't want to like use a walkthrough. But like, I think apart from the one puzzle I got stuck on, which I did use a walkthrough on, I think like the longest like I got stuck on a puzzle was sort of like 5-10 minutes of just like just like thinking
Humming and hawing.
Yeah, there's like some cool stuff. Like you use a flashlight to explore dark rooms in one level, and then in the next level there's rooms where it's like it's like pillars, and there's like barbed wire across a lot of the pillars, so you've got to like find the safe path around the barbed wire, and it was really difficult, and I was getting really annoyed because I was like, I'm looking at the screen and it's like pixel art style, and I was like, I thought the pixel art style was making it hard to see the barbed wire, and then suddenly I went, no wait, hang on, I have a flashlight, so I went and grabbed the flashlight out of the safe room and then turned it on when I was in the room, and I was like, no, if you use the flashlight it illuminates the barbed wire so you can see it easier. So there's like cool little interactions like that.
Tell you what.
Yeah, it's a good game.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I did.
You got one more game with me?
I do. I've played Monster Prom 3 for like 2 weekends in a row with Keith. And unfortunately, I can't play it this weekend because his computer's broke. So that sucks. But it's... I don't know how many people know of Monster Prom. I feel like it's a niche... It's a cult game, right?
It's obviously enough to warrant up to 2 sequels. So it obviously does enough.
Like, it gets its Kickstarters, it's got its fans, it gets a lot of reviews on Steam, but I think it's like a cult game. Like, if you know it, and then you probably enjoy it in some capacity. And I love Monster Prom. Like me and Keith played 2 long sessions of it, like over like 2 different nights, and like you just sit down. If you want to laugh, you just play this game. I love Monster Prom.
Yeah.
I didn't play as much of Monster Prom 2 as I really liked, but I've like smashed 3 a bit. And it's just a great laugh. Like, they've changed. So like Monster Prom 1 and 2 is specifically like geared around dating sims, right? It's like in the first game, it's like, hey, you've got to go to prom and it's in 3 weeks and you need to find a date. So you go through the whole like rigmarole of finding a date with one of the 6 characters. And then Monster Camp which was the second game, is very similar. Whereas like Monster Prom 3 is a bit different in that it's like fashioned as a road trip. So you have to basically, you've got 2 of the characters from the first game and you go on a road trip. And the idea is like there are 6 stats that you have to manage So like you do the things where you pick a place to go, and then you pick like what to do there, and then a situation occurs, and then you pick what to do about it, and then you'll gain. Usually, what you'll do is you'll gain in one stat and you'll lose in another stat, and you don't know what you're going to gain and lose. You have to kind of intuit it by what's going on. And there's other stuff like there's like you can do riskier stuff where it's like you'll get massive boosts to random stats and you'll get massive drops to random stats, and you have to get to a destination by getting one of your stats up to 25, but you have to make sure if any one of your stats drop to 0, then you lose essentially in the road trip's over and you have to start again, and you get like a bad ending, and there's like fucking 60 endings or something in this game. So there's like a lot of shit you can do, because there's a lot of like hidden stuff. You can like activate, if you get like high stats, you can activate plot lines, and then you go through like plot related scenes, and then there's like specific endings for like romancing characters if that's your jam and you want to do it, and all the while it's just like you're just doing this ridiculous monster prom shit. Like it's like if they took the two quirkiest characters from the first game and made them the main characters of this game. So like the situations that you find yourself in are ridiculous because that's what Monster Prom is all about. But then like you could just make them even more ridiculous. Like to give one single example, which had me rolling on the floor, like one of the locations Keith went to was like a city. Like Keith drove us to it was like a city under attack, it was called, and there's like a kaiju, like Godzilla basically attacking the city. And it's like, well, what do you want to do about it? So you got the 3 different options, and Keith picked his option, which was, hey, let's just go to the bar and get drunk. If we're going to die, we might as well like be having fun. And then like basically one thing leads to another, and all of a sudden Keith's like picking options to try and romance the kaiju. And I'm dying.
So he literally took it to another level when we say "step on me."
Oh yeah, well funnily enough, that was one of the jokes. Incredibly enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I was just rolling, and it was like this elongated sequence of like ridiculous hilarity. Like like the thing I really love about Monster Prom, the series, and Monster Prom 3 is it's just my sense of humor. Like it's just it hits my weird sense of humor like spot on. So I love it. It's great.
I remember playing the sequel with you and Keith. Thanks for the invite for number 3.
Well, I can't play it with Keith anymore. Do you want to play?
I have to, maybe. I won't be able to. I would have to buy it personally, wouldn't I?
No. So the first time we played it, because I didn't own it at the time, we used Steam's remote play together feature. So basically, he streamed the game to me so I could see it. And it was like we were playing couch co-op, and he had the controller, so I would just tell him what to click and do.
Oh, okay.
It was quite good. Keith's internet wasn't amazing, but it worked well enough.
That's all right. Excuse me.
Sorry.
I enjoyed playing Monster Hunter 2 with you. I had a lot of fun. It was quirky. It was fun. And yeah, definitely. I'll love to have a look at 3.
Yeah, like even if you don't want to buy the game, which is totally fair, like there's ways we can play together. So
yeah, it's just getting it's like settled right now. It's just like there's like to me right now there's 2 big games coming out that are
this is also the thing.
They're all me.
It's like
so I'm gonna have my distraction.
Yeah. So I've obviously played Signalis and Monster Prom, and I'm playing Mass Effect, and I should be finished that very soon. But also like I'm looking like going, oh, the Entropy Center came out last week, and a Case of the Golden Idol I want to play. But also there's this giant fucking shadow like that's like 3 days away. It's like God of War's coming out in 3 days.
I'm probably not going to touch God of War until the Friday. But yeah, it's coming.
Don't be coming to this podcast expecting us to be doing our God of War stuff on next week because it's a big fucking game.
God of War might be a 2-week thing, man. Because like, if we do, I don't know. Like, I'll probably have it complete. I'll have it probably completed before the Pokemon games come out for myself.
Sure.
So theoretically, we could probably do a talk about it, but
Yeah, like we'll do like a main topic thing on it at some point where we'll just fucking smash through God of War. But like, I don't know like how far through I'm going to be by next week because it's huge and I don't want to rush games anymore. I was all about that life once upon a time where it's like play the game as fast as possible to get the review out. And now, you know what, Moody? Do you know how like you can enjoy games more? By just chilling with them, by just vibing with them, by just listening, by listening. Everybody in the world can enjoy video games more by just listening to Daff and Moody.
I should get my partner to come here so she could hear you say this.
If you just take your time and just play it however you want to, like however you want to play it, and don't think shit. I need to make a review and so I can move on to the next one. It's like no, just take your time, man. That's what I plan to do with God of War. Yeah. I'll reach a point where I'm sick of doing this side shit. Like with every big game, like I was told when we talked about Lost Judgment last year, and I was like, it was the same thing, and it was like, I'm done with the side stuff now. Give me the story. That's what always happens when I play these games. Like I just said it about Mass Effect, didn't I? Where I was like, I'm done with the side quests. I can't do anymore. Just give me the fucking main stuff. I gotta go to Ferris and talk to a giant plant. Okay.
That is true. That is true.
Facts.
Amy, it's time for Indie Game of the Week.
It is. Indie Game of the Week. This is the thing we do every week where we talk about one cool looking upcoming indie game that we've seen and we want to talk about and highlight because that's what we do here at Words About Games. We like to champion indie games. Words about indie games, but also like sometimes we talk about big games. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, this week's indie game of the week is called Moviehouse, and the description reads, "Welcome to the big show. Moviehouse is the game film fans have been waiting for. Ready the camera, unleash your creativity, and create the flicks you've always dreamed of. Grow your operation with your razor-sharp business sense and usher in a new era for filmmakers worldwide. Or fail trying. After all, this business is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Experience the decades. Start with a small film crew in the 80s, develop your first short film, and taste the sweet nectar of box office revenue. When your enterprise expands, you'll create better movies, hire a larger crew, and of course, need a bigger boat. Use your wits to outsmart the competition and leverage your intuition to spot the next hit genre at the box office. Win prizes at events, take the biggest slice of the pie, and become the most successful studio Hollywood's ever seen. Make movies your way. Pick from a dozen different genres and plot the perfect storyline. Make a spy flick, a romantic comedy, a bloody slasher, or something entirely different. It's up to you to strike the perfect balance and make a true blockbuster, becoming the godfather of cinema. Assemble the dream team, hire directors and writers, nurturing their creative talent and skills to ensure optimal creative output. A good crew can bring viewers to seats while the director charts the movie's course. Make unknown actors famous overnight, or put them on the sideline if they don't live up to the hype. After all, you're the boss now. Moviehouse is being developed by Odyssey Studios and published by Assemble Entertainment. It says it's coming fall 2022 to PC via Steam on the Steam page. I don't know if it is coming in fall 2022 because, we're fast approaching the end of fall 2022, but hey, maybe it's just going to come out. Indie games sometimes do that. Anyway, there's a link to the Steam store page in the description of the video or wherever you get your podcast. And basically, I don't know how many people have played this game because it's a very old game and I remember playing it in university, so it's ancient, me. But there's this game from Lionhead Studios called The Movies. And basically, this reminds me of that game. And the movies, which if anybody didn't play it, basically it was like a sim type game where you basically created a movie studio and created movies. It was an awesome game. I'm really trying to stretch this out because the next part of the podcast, unfortunately, relies on Moody, and he's not here. He picks where we go and what we talk about. There's probably going to have to be a cut here because he hasn't come back yet. I don't know what to do. I'm lost. How are you? How's your day? Sound off in the comments about how your day is, whatever day that you're choosing to watch or listen to this podcast. Hit me up on Twitter about it. I don't know where he is. This is super awkward now. gonna have to cut. Right. Where are we going next, Moody?
Let's go for the poise of the other big news this week. PSVR 2.
Okay. Let me click on the hyperlink because I was very smart and I made those whole hyperlinks. PSVR 2 will launch on February 22nd for $550. This is from Marie DeLisandro over at GamesIndustry.biz. He writes, Sony's PlayStation VR 2 will be launching on February 22nd, 2023, the company announced. The PSVR 2 will be launching at a recommended retail price of $549.99, 599 euros and 99 whatever that denomination is in years, I don't actually know, and £529.99. Sony said in a blog post. For that price, the box will include the PSVR 2 headset, 2 Sense controllers, and headphones. A charging station for the controllers will be sold separately for $49.99 or £39.99 and launch on the same day. The VR headset will also be available as a bundle with Guerrilla Games' upcoming Horizon Call of the Mountain for $599, 649 euros or £569. In the blog post, VP for Brand Hardware and Peripherals Isabel Tomatis called the release an, quote, initial launch phase, end quote, adding that only, quote, players in the US, UK, France, Germany, Belgium, Netherlands, and Luxembourg will initially be able to pre-order, end quote, the PSVR 2 from November 15th and only via PlayStation's online store. She added, quote, in other markets, PlayStation VR 2 will be sold at participating retailers with pre-orders beginning on November 15th, end quote.
At long last, we finally know the price of the PlayStation VR. And I was having a chat.
What a weird announcement.
Wasn't it? Didn't they do this for the first one?
No, so on the first one they did it not GDC. Maybe it was GDC. There was a thing because Shuhei was on stage talking about it. Okay. But it was at a weird event. It wasn't at like E3 or anything like that.
Yeah. All right. Okay. But no, yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I've been expecting it was gonna be like a blog post because I just didn't think they wanted to do a whole televised thing for it and everything because they know at this moment in time VR is a very niche product for a lot of people and the price itself tells me everything about it and whatnot.
What, you mean the fact that it's more expensive than the PS5?
yeah. So it tells me everything about they know that they know still to this day that this is a niche product but they're going to put this out at an expensive price. They were always going to at the end of the day.
Sure, of course they were.
Much more.
VR's expensive, man. Like it still is. Unfortunately, it hasn't really gotten cheaper to make a VR headset, which is a shame because it would be nice if VR was more affordable, so it could get more mass market adoption. Because it's an awesome piece of technology, but the issue VR is constantly running into is you can make all of the Half-Life Alyxes that you want.
Yeah. You don't have the space.
Well, yeah, there was that. But also, it's just because the headset itself is so expensive, not many people are going to get to play it. So, there's no massive... the reason Half-Life Alyx exists is because Steam was selling their own VR headset, and so they had what they thought would be a killer app for it. It was for them. But the problem is you're never going to see, a lot of push by a lot of developers to really push VR because unfortunately not a lot of people are going to own VR, and it's going to be the same with PSVR 2. There's not going to be a great deal of people that rush out to buy a PSVR 2 because of the price.
No doubt.
And that kind of sucks for the technology, and because I want to see really cool VR games. I love VR. The price being much higher than the original PSVR headset. Yes, it is a lot higher than that was. That headset didn't come with controllers.
Not any good ones, at least.
Well, no. So the headset itself, you had to buy the controller separately.
Oh, I know that. Yeah, but
and the ones that you bought separately were bad.
The PS3 versions.
They weren't great. And these are really good.
Apparently these are amazing. So I say this right now. I'm not getting one right away or anything like that. It'll be something I'll be getting later in
Yeah.
Further
So
down the line, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna wait until it's cheaper. I
yeah,
won't lie, I'll state that right now.
yeah. You can pick up a PSVR headset for like £100 these days. Like
I've
the
got
price
I've got
will
the
drop. You've got the
I've got
Meta
the my
Quest.
Quest. I've got the Quest, yeah, which works amazingly still well and everything. And this one, I think this one will be amazing as well. There's no doubt about it. Like I think Horizon will be an amazing IP for it, and I think it's going to do incredibly well, especially with the new controllers they've created for it. So
Yeah, I mean the controllers and the headset have the same haptic feedback stuff as the DualSense 5, which is the thing me and Moody have both raved about because it's amazing. So the fact that they're putting that in their VR technology to really enhance the immersion is going to be incredible, and it's going to create incredible experiences. Like, I know we've talked about PSVR 2 or just like VR in general a couple of times on the podcast over the years, and like I know you've asked me the question of like, oh, are you going to get a PSVR 2? And I remember because my answer was always, I need to wait to see what they do with it. Like, I don't think VR, for me, I don't think VR is on the horizon anytime soon. But if I was buying one, like let's say it's November 15th, right, and the pre-orders are open, and I was like, I'm buying a VR headset today, I'd probably still opt for the Quest just because of the price alone, and the fact that it's wireless, so I can take it away from my PC. And then wait, but then if I get a Quest, Ryan would be able to talk me into playing Phasmophobia. Maybe I should change my answer. No, but
you don't think Faz is going to come on that?
oh, Phas is going to come to PlayStation eventually. Yeah, not until they've released it on PC, like out of early access. But like just for the price alone, like the it's that annoying sort of like clash in my brain of like the Quest is the more affordable headset and it's wireless, which are two like big pluses in like the plus column for me. But I know from being a former PlayStation VR owner, and seeing like how PSVR developed in the early days before they kind of forgot it existed. Like PlayStation will have really cool titles that you're only going to be able to get on the PlayStation VR 2.
Yeah, no doubt about
so
that.
like that would be the thing that would be the thing that would would give me pause in terms of being like, I'm going to get a Quest. It'd be like, because like cool shit's going to come out on the PSVR that's not going to come out anywhere else. And there's probably never going to be another Half-Life, Alex. Unfortunately.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Don't know. We don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Let's stick with the PlayStation and go Last of Us.
The Last of Us TV series confirmed to premiere in January. January 15th, HBO Max. There was a whole news story, and then I was like, I don't need any of this.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. But it's a Pedro Pascal beginning of the year because Mandalorian season 3 has been announced, I think, for February. So it's like
so it's Pedro.
It's just Pedro Pascal everywhere. He's going to take up the first 4 months of everyone's lives if they enjoy the TV shows and everything, you know?
Sure.
So
Yeah, sure.
yeah, but no, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The trailer was amazing and everything, and I'm very intrigued to see what they're going to do with this and whatnot. So bring it on. I'm excited for this.
That's cool.
I'm always excited for hopefully a good TV show. And it's the guy who created Chernobyl. That was still arguably the best TV show of the last 5-10 years.
Nice. Like, it's like, I always like good things. So if this is good, I'll get around to watching it sometime in the next 10 years.
10 years, I was going to say 10 years, huh?
And you know what I'm like.
Exactly.
It's like, Amy, if you watch The Last of Us, it's like 2026. And it'll be like, Amy, have you watched The Last of Us TV series yet? And I'll be like, no, but I've played the game again. Damn you! Season 4 is coming out. Come on, get with the program.
Yeah, they've already killed Joel already, man.
They just killed Joel. Everybody's mad about it again. Yeah. No, I mean, it's cool. Like, sometimes I do watch new things, like, when they come out, so you never know. Like, I watched the first bit of Rings of Power, and then I was like, I really need to not watch this week by week, and I still haven't gone back to it. But I might watch. I mean, it's on HBO Max, right? So, like, does that mean what's it going to be on in the UK? It's going to be Sky, right? It's like, well, I don't have that. Like, I don't have that.
No bless.
Like, so we'll see what happens. Like, it's like when everyone keeps telling me about fucking Arcane, like, oh, Amy, you'd love Arcane. And it's like, no shit, I would love Arcane, but it's on Netflix. Stop taunting me. I would love it, right? You've seen it. You know I'd love it.
I think you will love it. I think it's a very good TV show. I think the character everyone loves on it is Born Idol.
I don't know what that means because I haven't seen it.
Born Idol's the wrong word. I think everything she does, it's because of her. That's all I'll say.
Cool.
I think she's just a poorly written character. Personally, I think she's a lazily written character. I think there's better characters on the show. Personally.
Cool. But yeah, Last of Us. Like, put it on something I can watch it on. That's my only request.
Arcane is on something you can watch it on. I'm being mean now. I apologize.
Hey, technically, I can watch anything at any time.
Exactly.
If I had loose morals.
What does Steph Sterling always say?
Something capitalism bad?
No.
I was trying to think of another thing that they always say.
It's always okay to something Nintendo.
Oh yeah. All right. So if they put the Last of Us TV show on Nintendo Switch, it's morally acceptable to pirate it.
No, it's not what I'm saying. You know what oh, okay, whatever.
Remember what we were talking about trolling?
Let's go EA, Amy.
I got you. EA. I've lost my mouse cursor. What the fuck is it? There it is.
I'll be there.
I know, right? EA has at least 2 more Marvel games in the works. This is from Brendan Sinclair over at GamesIndustry.biz. He writes, the recently announced EA Motive game based on Iron Man is just the beginning of Electronic Arts' partnership with Marvel, the publisher announced. EA said it has a long-term deal with Marvel, quote, to develop at least 3 new action-adventure games that will be available for consoles and PC, end quote. Like Iron Man, the other games will be original stories set within the Marvel universe. EA COO Laura Miele said, quote, we have been long-time fans of Marvel and their impressive leadership, so this is a remarkable moment for our developers as well as our players and fans. We look forward to welcoming Marvel into the EA family of creators and know this collaboration will produce exceptional experiences for our players, end quote. No details were provided for which characters those future games will feature. As for Iron Man, development on that game is headed up by executive producer Oliver Prolx, who made Guardians of the Galaxy, with fellow veteran developers Ian Fraser, who made Star Wars Squadrons, Malin Lumino, who worked on Immortals Phoenix Rising, and J.F. Poirier, who worked on Star Wars Squadrons. Hey, if they make 3 Marvel games, right? That'll be like more games than they made when they had the Star Wars license for 10 years. It wouldn't be. Don't do the. You don't need to do the maths.
Yeah, it
wouldn't be.
So
it's just a joke.
Okay.
That's why I went.
The joke needs to be funny.
That's why I went.
If it was, the joke's only funny if it works.
It works.
No, it doesn't. 2 more Marvel games. That's not a surprise whatsoever. He is one of the biggest companies out there. Love them or hate them, and so is the Marvel. Is the biggest franchise out there. Love it or hate it. This was always going to happen and everything. So people may bitch and moan, and you and me have done it plenty of times when it comes to how EA treats Star Wars. It's going to be this. Hopefully, they have properly learned their thing. They seem like they say they have, but
well, this seems like rather than being like an open-ended, like, hey, we have the license to make like fucking Star Wars games, and then like shit, we should probably make some, right? Like this is more just they have the license to make these specific games.
Yeah, they've negotiated to say we have an idea for these ones. Why don't we? A type of thing and everything like that. So that's basically what they've done. Which is at the end of the day, it's the best thing that Disney basically done personally, because they should never have given EA alone exclusivity to Star Wars.
Yeah, or
We know
anyone.
this.
Like they
Fuck
should have
anyone,
done
yeah.
that with anyone. Yeah.
Yeah. We know this. They it was a stupid thing to think of, and yeah,
It's what I've always liked
Shit.
about the way they've handled the Marvel license with video games, where it's just like they just give it out to different studios to make different games, right? So like we got like a cool
And
Guardians of the Galaxy game from
Square
Square Enix Montreal, and then we got like an
Avengers
amazing Spider-Man game from Insomniac Games, and then we got Avengers. The story was good.
We got Miles Morales.
The story of that game was good.
Yeah, we got the Miles Morales game, which was really good.
It's just the game part wasn't very good.
What was on the game part for Miles Morales?
I'm still doing my Avengers bit. You just keep saying Miles Morales.
But I'm just saying that was a good game. That's all.
It was a good game.
Keep harping on about a crappy Avengers game.
I was defending it partially.
Oh, yeah, it sounded like it.
I said the story was good. If you didn't keep saying Miles Morales over and over again, you might have heard it.
Well, you might have heard it if you heard me. Where was I?
You're asking me
let's
what's
go to
next.
IKEA. I was at IKEA last week.
Oh
so
man, I
let's go to
fucking hate IKEA. Not because of this story. I just generally hate going there. You wander around IKEA and it's like, oh, look at all this stuff that you can't afford. I'm like, great. Look how amazing your
go there?
Look how amazing your kitchen could look.
Why go there if you can't afford it?
That's not. I'm not explaining the joke. It's not even a joke. It's just a point.
A joke.
Like you go in there for like a fucking pillow, and they're like, here's 10,000. Here's a kitchen that looks really nice, and you go, all right, cool. How much does this kitchen cost? And they're like £50,000. And you're like, all right, cool. IKEA is rich people's world. Anyway, IKEA has demanded an indie dev change his Infinite Furniture Store horror game. This is from Chris Scullion over at VGC. He writes, an indie developer making a horror game set in an Infinite Furniture Store has been sent a cease and desist letter by IKEA's lawyers. Ziggy, a one-man studio consisting of developer Jacob Shaw, has been told by IKEA that the shop in the store is closed is too similar to the Swedish firm's real-life furniture stores. According to the letter, which has been read and verified by Kotaku, Shaw was given 10 days to, quote, change the game and remove all indications... What? Indicia? To remove all whatever associated with the famous IKEA stores, end quote. Don't actually know that word. The game currently has a Kickstarter campaign which has raised £53,000, more than its £10,000 goal, with 3 days remaining. The letter provided Shaw with a list of what it considers aspects that infringe on IKEA's branding. Quote, your game uses a blue and yellow sign with a Scandinavian name on the store, a blue box-like building, yellow vertical striped shirts identical to those worn by IKEA personnel, a grey path on the floor, furniture that looks like IKEA furniture, and product signage that looks like IKEA signage. All the foregoing immediately suggest that the game takes place in an IKEA store, end quote. In an interview with Kotaku, Shaw disputed the claims that the furniture in the game, quote, looks like IKEA furniture. I bought these generic furniture asset packs to make this game. I don't know what that means, end quote. The lawyer's letter tells Shaw, quote, you can of course easily make a video game set in a furniture store that does not look like or suggest an IKEA store. You can easily make changes to your game to avoid these problems, especially since you do not plan to release the game until 2024, end quote. However, it also gave Shaw just, quote, 10 working days of the date of this letter, end quote, to make all of its proposed changes. Shaw said he was seeking legal advice but will likely have to give up due to potential legal costs. He explained, quote, I was going to spend the last week of my Kickstarter preparing an update for all the new alpha testers, but now I've got to desperately revamp the entire look of the game so I don't get sued, end quote.
To what I've seen, it very much looks like an IKEA fucking store. So
like I clicked on the story.
You need to change this, sir.
Yeah, I clicked on the story. And like the big picture at the top was like the sign of the outside of the shop, and it's like it's a giant blue sign with yellow letters, and there's like 4 of them, and it's like, okay, this is an IKEA. It does like I kind of get his point about the furniture, because it's like, well, I mean, it's furniture. Like IKEA's furniture looks generic. That's the idea.
Yeah, he would have probably just sort of bought a generic asset pack from whatever engine he's using.
It's like IKEA. If you don't want furniture that looks like your furniture in a horror game, I mean, like Phasmophobia furniture looks like it came from your shop, because how many different ways can you design a sofa? Like I don't get that point, but I do get the rest of the point where it's like, yeah, it kind of does look like it's supposed to be an IKEA.
Oh, hell yeah, it does, man. And yeah, at the end of the day, the guy must have noticed this, man. Come on. If you haven't heard of IKEA, then seriously, then okay. That is maybe a little bit fair.
Sure.
But
I mean, there's like, I haven't played it because obviously it's Kickstarter Alpha, I'm not a backer. But like, I'm sure there's like on one of the screenshots, there's like a thing, there's like a what do you call it, sandwich board, where it's like talking about, hey, go get meatballs at the cafe, and it's just like, that's like IKEA's one thing.
Yeah.
Get meatballs at the cafe. Like when Phil told me a story of when he went to IKEA not that long ago, he specifically talked about going to get meatballs. Like, it's a thing. It's like, I don't like being devil's advocate here, but you kind of did make IKEA the horror game. Sorry.
Just like Devolver Digital did E3 the horror game.
They did. That was fun.
They literally were like, this is fucking E3, motherfuckers.
This is E3. Try not to die.
Something like that, yeah.
Devolver, I played that. That was an interesting experience.
Yeah, at the end of the day, my advice would be to that person.
I mean, he's going to do it, yeah. Like,
yeah, do it. Just change it, because you clearly can see just by saying, I'm probably not going to can't even fight this because I don't have the money, so just change it.
It is a bit shitty where the letter specifically is like, hey, I mean, your game's not coming out till 2024, so you got plenty of time to change it, but also if you don't change it in the next 10 days, we're going to sue you. It's like, it's one or the other, IKEA. It's not really both.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
2024 isn't in 10 days.
I agree with that, there's no doubt. But yeah. Can't do anything about it.
Oh, man.
Maybe if you got back to them and replied to them, say, I do apologize, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to need a little bit more time.
Oh, listen, man. Game development is tricky.
Yeah, it is very tricky.
Gonna need more than 10 days.
Yeah, I need more than 10 days for this. But anyway, let's go to Raise the Game.
Raise the Game. Ray, I've never even heard of him. Ukie's Raise the Game launches access November to inspire the games industry to make games more accessible. This is from Vicky Blake over at Eurogamer. He writes, UK Games trade body Ukie has teamed up with the Royal National Institute of Blind People, RNIB, to launch Access November, a new campaign launched under its Raise the Game initiative to, quote, create meaningful cultural and behavioural change in the UK game businesses, end quote. From Monday, November 14th to Friday, November 25th, the campaign will offer virtual networking sessions, workshops, and presentations, as well as online resources, and, quote, some in-person satellite events to inspire games industry professionals and companies to make their games more accessible, end quote. You can also expect a series of game-related workshops, talks, and fireside chats at the upcoming Accessibility and Inclusive Design Conference TechShare Pro, which include best practice resources and a workshop on, quote, the importance of considering site accessibility in games and workplaces, end quote. The organization explained in a press statement, quote, the aim is to inspire games industry professionals and companies to make their games and services more accessible, as well as champion representation of disabled and neurodiverse people, both in the stories that games are telling and within the teams that make them. The campaign is also set to deliver a series of games-related workshops, talks, and fireside chats at TechShare Pro, Europe's largest accessibility and inclusive design conference, between Tuesday the 15th and Thursday the 17th of November as part of the campaign, end quote. The initiative is also keen to increase the number of disabled people working in the games industry too, and cites that just 4% of the games industry are disabled and 18% identify as neurodiverse, when 21% of working age adults across the UK consider themselves to have a disability. The statement concludes, quote, supporting the entry of these workers to the games industry and championing those already in games is an excellent way to foster accessibility and representation within the design of video games themselves, end quote. Raise the Game is the games industry's, quote, collaborative and high-impact pledge to improve its equality, diversity, and inclusion, creating cultures where everyone belongs, voices are heard, and ideas can thrive, end quote. Delivered by Ukie, it currently has just under 170 partners and is open to everyone in the games industry. You're muted. You're muted.
I know. Accessibility is awesome, everybody, and that's not what I said the first time. I'm muted. You saved me.
If only everybody could lip read.
What are you talking about, Amy? Yeah, no,
Don't
this
worry
is
about
amazing. Like, this is a fantastic thing. Accessibility, like I said, is an amazing thing, and I champion it every single time. Like, it's one of the things that at the place I'm working at, like, we talk about all the time and everything, especially when we're QAing. And it's like, yeah, this is an amazing thing to happen, and I'm looking forward to it. Like, again, I'm just going to have to shout out, I'm looking forward to fucking checking out the accessibility options in God of War Ragnarok. Cannot wait to try that out.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, like making the people, like the workforce. I hate using the word workforce, but whatever. Like making the workforce more diverse is just a great way to like make games more diverse. Like we always talk about that kind of stuff, right? It's like, hey, hey, this thing happened because there was no trans person of color, gay, etc., person in the room, right? Or it's just like you'll get better accessibility options built into video games if you just have people who use them making the games. Right?
Yes.
Logic. It's one of the only times I'm going to use logic on this podcast. Don't get used to it. So this is cool. Like, and a more diverse group of people. Yeah, avoided using that word. Working on games is always going to make games better. And make better games.
Mm. I completely agree. I completely agree when it comes to diversity.
Hell yeah. Diversity, accessibility, everything. Rock and roll.
Day of the Devs.
Yeah, there was Day of the Devs 10th anniversary indie showcase that came out of fucking nowhere last Thursday. I did watch a bit of it. I had some other stuff going on last Thursday, so I wasn't really in the right mindset to like absorb video game news last Thursday. But I did watch a bit of this, and there's some games on the list that I've played and really enjoyed. Is this my time to talk for the 17th time this year about how good Thirsty Suitors is? how you should all play the demo and then wishlist the game? And I know I dropped it from a Fantasy Critic team, right? Because like it had the big X next to it and it said it's not coming out this year, even though I looked at it and I was like, if they haven't said that it's not coming out this year, I kind of hope it's still coming out this year. Like if they rock up at the Game Awards and they're like, check out this trailer for Thirsty Suitors. It's available now.
I don't think it's coming out this year.
Well, they keep saying coming soon. Like
that's their cut out clause. They're
specifically avoiding just saying it's coming out next year. Like it's November, guys. Just say it's coming out next year.
They probably thinking, oh, we'll drop it in February, and then you saw February and went, oh, fuck.
Oh no!
Something like that. And then they see March and went, oh, and they went,
no, it's fine. We'll drop it in March, and then here comes Zelda.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to release next to Zelda.
Guys, we gotta get this game out, but we can't get this game out.
I talked to an indie developer once about this a long time ago. I don't know why they asked me about like, oh, like a lot of people didn't review their game when it came out, and they'd released it in November. So I said like, look, man, the God's honest truth is you released it at the same
November.
time as Call of Duty and whatever else was coming out this year. But like, and then they asked me like, oh, is there any like light months like of the year I released the game? And I was like, not really. Like,
Not anymore, no.
Unfortunately, no. Like, there's never like a month where you could kind of go, oh, like
Summer.
we could put it here, and then like there's less games coming out, and you get more chance of getting coverage. It's like, yeah, I mean, summer used to be that, but even recently now with like June, July is starting to heat up a bit.
A little bit, but
I feel
not
like
that
you can
much
still
right now.
you might still be able to get in there, but the thing is now, like you've also got a lot of indie games that other indie games are competing with, right? So it's like your audience, if you're making an indie game, like you're not. This was a weird segue from Day of the Devs, but whatever. Like if and this is just my opinion, and I'm not a video game industry expert. Like it says on my profile, I'm an amateur video game scientist. Joe Medforce came up with that. Like your competition, and I use the term very loosely here. Like if you're making an indie game, isn't like if you were releasing this week, it's not God of War Ragnarok, right? Because everybody who wants to play God of War is going to play God of War regardless of what else is coming out.
Yeah.
But if you're not playing God of War and your competition is other indie games, like it doesn't matter if God of War is coming out this week. Like you're the alternative to God of War, right?
That's what you want to be.
You're the thing that people can get to play if they're looking for a new game, but they don't want to play God of War or they don't own a PlayStation. Play God of War on.
Yeah.
But if like 6 other indie games are coming out that week, you're still fucked. Oh, you're not fucked, but it's going to be a lot harder to get noticed. But anyway, Thirsty Years is awesome. And they put up a new thing at Day of the Devs, and that was like the thing that stood out to me because I'm really looking forward to that game. So
Game
good.
does look very good.
So good. As the other stuff as well, Sea of Stars. It was nice to be reminded that exists. Like, because I'm gonna be honest, before I saw this like trailer pop up at Day of the Devs, I kind of forgot that it was a thing. We were talking about it in January as well. I remember because it was supposed to come out at the end of this year, and obviously it's been delayed. But I remember we were talking about it quite a bit. Like, oh, this game looks awesome, and it does. But it was that kind of thing of like, it's been so long.
Yeah, it has been. Yeah, sadly enough, but hopefully when it doesn't lose steam and people keep remembering it and everything. So
it won't. It'll come out first half of next year, I would have thought, and
not February.
Probably.
It probably will.
Probably will come out in February.
Fucking will, and then it just dies.
I hope not. It looks cool. Messenger was a good game. The other 2 games that really like popped off, Gunbrella for the name, and 2, it's a cool game. I played it again at the Steam Next Fest. One of them, can't remember which one. And it's cool, and you should check it out. I think they still have the demo up on Steam. I think a lot of this Next Fest demos they ended up just leaving them turned on.
Yeah,
and I think that might be one of them. You have a gun that's also an umbrella. And it's very gory, and it's very 2D pixel art platforming. And if a gunbrella sounds ridiculous, I mean it is, but it's fun to use. I do wonder what came first though. Did the team that made Gunbrella or are making Gunbrella, did they come up with the name of the game first? Or did they come up with the concept of the Gunbrella first? Did someone go?
Concept.
Did someone go? Oh, you know what's funny? Like, you know what'd be funny? Like if we made a game called Gunbrella, and then it was like, what's that going to be about? Or did they make I mean, they made the concept first, but it would be funny if they didn't. They came up with a pun, and then built an entire game around it. And the last one that stood out was Terranil, which is a cool reverse city builder. You go to places that have been damaged by climate change, and you use like the technology that's like been developed in the game to like bring them back to life.
Yeah.
It's an interesting concept. I feel like I've played enough city builders in my life that I'm now looking for like, I'm now on the hunt for like ones that are different. Like, what are you doing that's different to like the 10,000 hours I've already put into like city builders I've played in my life? Like, are you just going to ask me to build a city again? Because I kind of done that already.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. That genre works so well. So it always catches some people's eyes. So it's gonna be interesting.
It's classic for a reason, isn't it? We got time for one more.
Let's go the Her Story one.
I do enjoy this one. It's very funny. Sam Barlow was offered exposure to put her story in a Tesla. This is from Ed Nightingale over at Eurogamer. He writes, Immortality and Her Story developer Sam Barlow has said he was asked by Tesla to put his game in a car for the exposure. So much to unpack just from that first sentence. Last week, Tesla owner Elon Musk bought Twitter, and now, as The Verge reported, the social media platform plans to charge users $20 each month for verification. It's now $8. In the wake of this, Barlow had his own story to tell about Tesla. Quote, Tesla once reached out to ask to put her story in a car. I asked how much they would pay for the license and to cover the engineering work. They suggested $0 that I consider the exposure I would get. Her story in a car remains one of the sillier ideas I've heard, end quote. Untitled Goose Game developer Cable Sasser responded to Barlow saying, quote, same, re-goose, end quote. To which Barlow replied, quote, horrific self-driving vehicle crash. Police suspect mischievous goose, end quote. Why would you put video games in a car? Like, I have to ask that question right off of the bat.
Well, he's trying to do a self-drive car, and he so that's probably.
I mean,
why.
I've seen the footage of this self-driving cars, but like, yeah, it's like don't put video games in cars. Don't
unless
like
it's handheld and your kids are playing it in the back.
Right? Yeah. Okay. Fair. Like, is this game for anybody who's not driving the car? Thumbs up. Is this game for the person driving the car? No.
Thumbs down.
Thumbs down. We don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's like it's an insulting thing, really, especially when he said
think of the exposure.
Think of the exposure. It's like
mate,
you're a fucking billionaire, mate, and you're $1 billion company for fuck's sakes, and you can't even fucking pay somebody. Go fuck yourself. Seriously.
It's like, mate, you know, Her Story is like a critically acclaimed darling indie game, right? Like, Sam Barlow doesn't need the exposure.
yeah, it's that
But I mean, you got to think this is Elon Musk, the guy who wanted to charge everyone $20 for a blue check mark, and then decided it was going to be $8 after Stephen King told him to fuck off.
Can't wait to see the.
He does not know what he's doing.
He has no idea. Yeah, he knows he has no idea.
But
we all know he has no idea.
But like, I don't know whether like Untitled Goose Game again. It's like these aren't like simple games. You want to put it in the car? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's true.
Again, I'm sure they said, because he said same re-goose, right? So I'm sure like they went to the Untitled Goose Game developer and said, think of the exposure. And again, Untitled Goose Game is a critically acclaimed indie darling game that won awards. Like, both of these games won awards. Like, they don't need exposure. What the fuck are you doing?
Elon Musk is trying to flex his quote-unquote muscles to try and say, oh, I'm Elon Musk.
Like,
join me.
I watched a video about Elon Musk, like, at some point in the past. Because, like, I watched YouTube content creators that will make videos about stuff like people like Elon Musk. And it's like they concluded by just saying, like, the thing about Elon Musk is he just wants people to think he's cool and funny, and he's neither of those things. And then he gets mad. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's one thing that if there's one thing the entire of Twitter has learned about him in the last couple of weeks, it's that's true.
And he gets mad very easy.
Yeah, he does, right?
Very easy.
But he's also very easy to make fun of.
Billionaire. Yeah, he's a very petulant billionaire. All right, that's all of them. So.
I mean, yeah, that's just billionaires, right?
Yeah, true. Games out this week, Amy.
The game's out this week. Excuse me. On November 8th, A Little to the Left comes to PC. Sonic Frontiers comes to PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo Switch, and PC. I got a funny story about Sonic Frontiers I'll tell after this. And Football Manager 2023 comes to Xbox and PC, and is also launched in Game Pass. On November 9th, God of War Ragnarok comes to PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. On November 10th, Shadow of the Guild comes to PC, and Lunistis comes to Nintendo Switch and PC. And on November 11th, Tactics Ogre Reborn comes to PlayStation platforms, Nintendo Switch, and PC. So, Sonic Frontiers, right? I feel really sorry for Sonic Frontiers because it's kind of getting forgotten about. Because God of War's coming out the day after it. So, funny story. I was doing the doc for this last night, putting together all this stuff, and I do it in a specific order. And I did games out this week. So I went on the calendars, typed, and I manually type in all of the game titles, right? So I typed the words Sonic Frontiers into the game, into the document, right? And then I was like, cool, let's see OpenCritic head to head, right? Check the score, do the scores, put the thing. And then I'm like, right, what game should we do for OpenCritic head to head this week? We've already done God of War, because the reviews came out last week. And then I was looking at it and I was like, man, there's not really anything for OpenCritic head-to-head this week. In the 5 minutes between me typing the word Sonic Frontiers is coming out November 8th and me doing OpenCritic head-to-head, I forgot Sonic Frontiers was coming out. And I'm just like, I don't know what that says about me, but also about Sonic Frontiers. Because it's like, I just totally forgot within the space of 5 minutes that Sonic Frontiers was coming out this week. But yeah, I mean, I want to play A Little to the Left, but that's definitely going to be my unpacking of 2022, where I'm going to play it at Christmas. Because I'm just like, God of War's coming out. I'm sorry, A Little to the Left, but God of War's coming out the next day. That's going to be the thing that I play. That and finishing Mass Effect 1. That's amazing.
Next week's it's all God of War.
It's
the week after that for me.
It's entirely possible the week after is going to be mostly God of War as well.
Yeah. We God of War all the way till Pokemon. Then Pokemon happen, and I'll be all the way Pokemon until I Pokemon out. And then I'm going to be trying to squeeze in between then Pentiment, Somerville.
Pentiment is my Pokemon for next week.
Yeah.
Where it's like, damn, that's the game I really want to play. November came out of nowhere. Did you notice that, by the way? For ages, November looked a bit light. It was there's a couple of big games coming out, for both of us. And then all of a sudden, all these other games just suddenly popped up. Somerville just suddenly went, bing, I'm coming out in November. Wait, what?
Yeah. Well, Call of Duty normally goes November-ish, so it didn't this year. So
it did.
Callisto Protocol, that's probably going to be back on the back burner as well. I'm going to see how I feel with that game.
Yeah.
Go on.
I was just going to say, to continue our conversation from last week, I did send back Gotham Knights.
Oh, yeah. I thought you did. I thought you would,
yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, you were saying after Christmas.
No. Then after Callisto Protocols, I have no games that are coming out because obviously they're mostly all out by then. So then I'll be trying just to play stuff, trying to get into stuff. Hopefully I'll have my TV set up properly and I'll be able then just to crash there and play the games and everything on my TV instead of here. Because playing them on my PC is very uncomfortable with me, especially with this crap chair I have right now. So
yeah, I'm in the same boat. It's really weird. So I have a big screen TV, but I use it to watch things because it's above my monitors, so it's too high for me to really comfortably play games on. Yeah, it's good for lying back on the bed and just watching stuff. But yeah, I'm in the same boat where it's this is how I play games, and this monitor is what I play games on. But it's not the most comfortable setup I've got, so it is that annoyance of oh man, but you sit on the bed, there. But then the monitor is only 27 inches.
Yeah.
I was talking to someone who was buying a TV, and they were looking at like a 55-inch TV.
Oh yeah.
And they said, "What have you got?" And I said, "I've got a monitor." And they said, "Oh, how big is it?" And I said, "It's 27 inches." And they said, "Well, how is that? Like, how good is that?" And I went, "It's a good monitor. It's for games. It's a good monitor." And they went, "Do you think that would be good for me?" And I went, "Well, how close are you sitting to it?"
Yeah.
And they went, "Well, it's going in the living room." So I'm sitting across the room, and I was like, "Right, well, my monitor is literally, I can put my finger out like this and touch it." So,
So that's a no.
so that's not gonna be a good solution for you.
Unless you have the greatest fucking eyesight ever, zooms in perfectly, and you're then in all that.
It's like context.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it's God of War week. Like, I'm not going to pretend I'm going to play anything else other than trying to finish Mass Effect 1.
Yeah, yeah.
And then maybe play the first 10 minutes of Mass Effect 2 just to get that hit.
It does give you a hit.
It gives you the hit. It gives you the hit.
Gives you a hit.
Yeah.
No doubt. OpenCritic game we had.
OpenCritic head to head. This is the game.
Did you say the other games? Sorry, did you say the last 3 games?
I did, yes.
You did. Okay, I just wanted.
Yeah, and then I circled back to do the Sonic Frontiers bit.
Okay.
This is the game we play every week where we try to guess the OpenCritic average of one or more upcoming games. Whoever gets closest to the score gets 1 point. If you manage to guess the score correctly, you get 2 points. Last week, we tried to guess the OpenCritic average of God of War Ragnarok. Amy guessed it would get a 94, Moody guessed it would get a 93, and at the time of recording, God of War Ragnarok has an OpenCritic average of 94, which means Amy gets 2 points. I'm so used to saying Moody gets the point. Amy gets 2 points, which puts the scores at Amy 23, Moody 26. Our guests have 3, and we have had no draws.
I'd say I haven't had a point for a while, so
It came. No, you got a one. You got a Plague Tale. You just weren't here when we did the results.
Okay.
Yeah.
The worst thing is, you know what's going to be annoying?
It's going to drop tomorrow.
Go down to 93 tomorrow, won't it?
So like, because yeah, so like to the person who runs OpenCritic.com, if you've had an unusual amount of hits on the God of War OpenCritic page, that was me. I was checking it fucking constantly from Thursday, literally, because it hit at 94. And
for me, it hit 93 for me.
All right, no, so I went on because I was doing something. I'll tell you about it in a minute. So I didn't go and check when the reviews came out. Like, I checked a bit later, so it was at 94 for me, and I was like, "Holy shit, it's 94." And then I was like thinking in my head, "Oh man, these scores always go down. They always go down." And I was like, "Oh, I just need this to hold. I just need this to hold till Sunday. I don't give a shit what it does after Sunday. It just needs to stay there till Sunday. Because if it drops one, I'm fucked. If it drops at all."
Yeah.
Because I remember I was last week when we were picking the scores, and I was like, "Oh, the smart thing to do would be to go at 92 because there's more numbers past that." But I'm gonna go 94 anyway. Like, I'm just at this point. I've pulled it back. Right, I was 10 points behind. Now 3 points behind. If I lose OpenCritic head to head by the end of the year, you know what? I've pulled it back so much. I'm fine with that. Like, I've given it my best shot.
I don't care if I lose, so I don't care about it. I'm very tired. So, no, at the end of the day, I'm not even angry that I've lost this one because God of War is one of the biggest games out there, and it's got an amazing high score. And that just got me even more excited to even play it. So
yeah, right. It's just like
I was
cool. Like, it's like when a fantasy critic game that somebody else has got gets like a super high score, and it's like I'm not even mad because I get to play this game.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
Exactly.
Like Elfie has both Elden Ring and God of War in a team, and it's like I don't give a shit that they're the 2 highest scoring games of the year. I got to play both of them.
Yeah, and Elfie will still finish third behind me. So
yes, we remember that. We remember that.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's watched that. She hasn't mentioned it. If she has,
yeah.
I'm gonna take. So I asked a question for like what we were doing this week, and I guess you've answered it. So this week we're gonna guess 2 games. The first one, as mentioned before, is Sonic Frontiers. When I remember that it existed.
I answered it, but I didn't answer at the same time because, like, Pokemon, I don't think I'll get reviewed next week. I think it'll be the week after because it doesn't come out until Friday.
Yeah,
until the Friday after. So So for me, you won't get reviews for it until like the Wednesday of that week or Thursday of that week for me.
Right.
But if you want to take the risk and just put it in, that's
We'll just
fine.
put it in because there's tons of games coming out. Well, not tons, but there's more games coming out next week that we can do next week. I just looked at it and I was like thinking about God of War and how that happened like a week early and just thinking, what if we miss Pokemon? I don't want to miss Pokemon.
Yeah.
So.
The Nintendo don't really give a flying hoot. PlayStation, like when they're confident, they throw it out early.
Yeah.
They'll allow the reviews to drop early when they're that confident. So they were that confident with it. So
we'll do Pokemon this week as well, but we're doing Sonic Frontiers as well. So, Moody, what do you think Sonic Frontiers is going to get?
This game could go either fucking way. Really.
Anyway,
I even started with it at 18, and I think that's too high. So I dropped it and I went 75.
This is such a wild card. Like,
yeah.
I've seen people on Twitter posting pictures of the boxes, so I know the reviewers have got it, but obviously they haven't said anything because they're not allowed. And it is just like how. When I remembered it existed, I put it in here, and I was like, how the fuck do you even approach trying to guess what review scores Sonic Frontiers is going to get? Like,
exactly.
You can't. Like, it makes a mockery of this entire game. Just by its sheer existence. Like, what I'm going to go 72. I feel like it's going to go... I feel like it's going to review low. I feel like Sonic fans are going to love it, and I feel like they're gonna be feasting on this game. They're going to really enjoy it. But I feel like critically, in terms of like game reviews, I think it's going to go low.
Be mixed.
Yeah,
I'll be very mixed.
That's the thing. Because if a game is mixed, like to the point where it has both good reviews and bad reviews, that drags the overall average down.
Fuck, you're making me rethink my number.
Tough, you've put it in now. You said it out loud on the podcast. It's like taking like taking your hand off the
I allowed you to change your number one time. That's not fair.
It's done.
Don't go there. On.
Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Moody, what do you think Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is going to get?
I think it'll do the same or roughly the same as what Pokemon Legends Arceus will. That's an 84. I think the game's going to be groundbreaking in a lot of ways for what Pokemon is, but I think because of just going from the people who have played for 2 hours of it or 3 hours of it, who went to go preview for it, it's very buggy.
Oh, I didn't even know there was. I didn't even know there was previews.
Yeah, there's previews out there, and it's like the frame rate's atrocious for it apparently. That the thing when it comes to Nintendo games, you have to get their game. If you're going to put a game on Nintendo, you have to get that certification and put in about 12. Like is it? I think it's between 8 to 12 weeks before the game is actually even meant to come out.
Okay.
So like this game, by the time this game comes out, they could have a patch ready to go and it's all ready to go and it's all fixed by the game launches and everything. So. Like there would have been a patch for the game when the people who have got the game, which I'm surmising people probably do have the game by now. If they haven't, it'll probably be sometime next week for the reviews.
I think they've probably got it.
I'll be very surprised if you haven't got it yet.
The thing about game reviews is sometimes you get alongside a review code. I've never had a review code from Nintendo, so I don't know how Nintendo specifically does anything. But sometimes you get like a list of bugs that the day one patch will fix, but because it's a day one patch, you don't have it yet because the game's not out yet. So they might be playing through Pokemon Scarlet, finding bugs, but knowing that they'll be fixed. It's a weird situation to be in.
Yeah.
I didn't even know previews were out for Pokemon.
Yeah, for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, yeah, there is.
The last thing I remember about Pokemon was there's sandwiches.
Jesus, Amy.
I'm just not.
What are you going for?
I'm just not plugged. I mean, considering I've got a Pokemon in front of me, I'm just not plugged into the information about this game at all. My overriding memory of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is you forcing me to stop streaming Elden Ring to watch the Pokemon stream. And to be fair, that is one of my favorite memories of 2022. That was amazing.
Yeah, the whole thing was terrible, and then you get to the end, and it's just like, oh my god, that's a new game. It's the new generation.
The whole thing is terrible, and I'm complaining because I'm like, I could play Elden Ring right now, Moody.
Yeah.
And then Pokemon happened, and I got to see you react to Pokemon. 82.
Respectable.
Yeah, like I was gonna go
I think it's
higher.
gonna land in the 80s. I think it's gonna land in the 80s.
I was gonna go higher than you, and then I remember we did this once with Joe for a Pokemon game, and he went really low, and we were like, "Oh wow, he's gone really low," and then he was actually the one that won, and then I was like,
Yeah, I think he went for the ones last year, didn't he? He went for
Yeah.
Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Yeah.
So that's basically, if I don't get the point for this, it's Joe's fault. Sorry, Joe.
He's never here to be on anyway. So yeah, screw you, Joe.
Wow, that escalated.
Come at me. Come on.
That's
You took my Splatoon 3.
Hey, I might have got that. I might have picked it up.
You took my Splatoon thingy 3. So yeah, and you're not even in the game anymore, even though you're not even last, which is funny. Very funny
right?
to me.
It's like he's not
It's very
playing, but
funny
he's
to me.
still
Not
fifth.
even last. Yeah.
Oops. That's going to do it for episode 328 of the Words About Games podcast. Thanks for joining us on this ride. It's been a blast. Thanks for joining me, Moody. And
Thank
thanks
you very
to
much.
my
Thank you for having me.
cool new hair. Whoa. Blue hair. Ooh. I keep surprising myself when I see myself in the mirror, 'cause I've only had it a couple of days. And I see it and I'm like, oh,
Who are you?
oh my God. I have blue hair.
You do indeed.
Oh, man. Let's get out. Do you have any final words to say?
Have a great week, everyone. Be awesome. Say something nice to someone.
Yeah, do that.
Live long and prosper.
That could be the nice thing you say to someone.
Yeah.
I was just trying to stop the recording by pushing a button on my laptop. The button's on my computer. Anyway, bye everybody.